Hello, trailblazers! Hello, future social workers! Today we are learning the social works, peace and development in the Philippine and international setting.
Peace is a key component of sustainable development. A healthy business environment is critical for development, and commercial operations are hindered in conflict-ridden due to region, unreliable social services, and prevalence of social issues such as poverty, hunger, and inequality. The traditional definition of peace is the absence of conflict, is insufficient for achieving long-term development. Two types of peace: negative and positive. Johan Galtung argued that there are two types of peace: negative peace and the positive peace. He defined negative peace as the absence of violence, absence of war, and identified three major categories of violence. So first, we have structural. Refers to the unjust system that marginalizes certain groups. The second one is cultural. Pertains the social norms that justify direct and structural violence. And the last one is direct, such as war and crime, is an outcome of cultural and structural violence. Galtung described peace as an integration of human society. Positive peace involved preventing or ending direct violence as well as structure and cultural violence. Unjust social structures and social norms are corrected to avert the occurrences of direct violence. How does positive peace ensure sustainable development? The Institute for Economic and Peace, or IEP, identified 8 specific factors that lead to positive peace, which have favorable economic, political, and social characteristics. They are able to generate peace as well as the desirable outcomes that are connected to peace, such as diversity, economic equality, and a healthier environment. Qualities that are linked to sustainable development. The 8 factors behind positive peace, also known as the 8 pillars of positive peace. The first one is well-functioning government, sound business environment, equitable distribution of resources, acceptance of rights of others, good relations with neighbors, free flow of information, high levels of human capital, and the last one is low levels of corruption.
Hey, what's up? So what have you learned so far? Before proceeding with our main discussion, let's have first our icebreaker. So our icebreaker is called Guess the Gibberish. So I know you are all familiar with this game, so let's start. Our first gibberish word is development. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's development. Okay, our second gibberish word is fish a wire nest. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's peace awareness. Okay, so our third gibberish word, share vase. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's service. So our fourth gibberish word is prof version. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Provision. Our last gibberish word is sustainable. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's sustainable. Yay! So that was our icebreaker. So I hope you had fun. So now let's learn together what are the programs and services in peace and development in the Philippines. In line with the commitment and efforts of the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, in achieving the goals of the Philippine Development Plan 2017 to 2020, the department is implementing several programs towards the attainment of an inclusive and sustainable peace through intensified development and other peace-building initiatives. As the lead agency in social protection, the DSWD provides intervention following the Peace Agenda of Executive Order 70, Series of 2018, in 2 tracks. Through the implementation of DSWD Memorandum Circular Number 3, Series of 2020. The first track entails the provision of assistance to former rebels and their families. Through existing DSWD programs such as assistance to individuals in crisis situations, psychosocial interventions, and other protective services, Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program or 4Ps, and the Sustainable Livelihood Program. Moreover, the second track ensures social services for conflict-affected and vulnerable areas or CVAs. Through programs such as but not limited to Kalahisids, Payapa at Masaganang Pamayanan or Pamana, Social Pension and Supplemental Feeding Program.
As defined in Republic Act 11310 or 4Ps Act. The Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program is a human development measure of the national government that provide conditional cash grants to the poorest of the poor to improve the health, nutrition, and education. Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program or 4Ps has 2 objectives or the dual objective. Social assistance, giving monetary support to extremely poor families to respond to their immediate needs, and social development, breaking the intergenerational poverty cycle by investing in health and education of poor children through programs such as health check-ups for pregnant women and children aged 0 to 5, deworming of school children aged 6 to 14, enrollment of children in daycare, elementary and secondary schools, and family development sessions.
Sustainable Livelihood Program. Supplemental Livelihood Program is a capability-building program for poor, vulnerable, and marginalized households and communities to improve their socio-economic conditions through accessing and acquiring necessary assets to engage in and maintaining thriving livelihoods. It is also tasked to implement the livelihood component of Pamana's development interventions. The SLP program provides 2 tracks of support. First, Employment Facilitation or EF connects participants to employment opportunities and appropriate training through public-private partnerships. Eligibility is 18 years of age or more. Individuals receive allocated funding for skills training. Participants are trained in private typical vocational institutions or through the government's Technical Education and Skills Development Authority or TESDA. Second, Microenterprise Development or MD gives support to microenterprises to become organizationally and economically sustainable. Participants have access to funds and training to set up their own microenterprise. Eligibility is 16 years of age or more.
Enhanced Comprehensive Local Integration Program. It is a government program that aims to help the rebel members of CPP, NPA, and NDF, and Militia ng Bayan to restore their allegiance to the Philippine government. Through this program, they can be reintegrated back to the community, be with their families, and start over with their new normal lives. Aside from the provision under Executive Order 70, DSWD implements normalization program for decommissioned combatants of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front MILF, the reintegration program for the Kapatiran, and the upcoming Moro National Liberation Front MNLF transformation program. On the other hand, to improve efforts to deliver social services, the department has crafted a social work case management guide for insurgent returnees to serve as an improved standard for case management in extending support and services to the former rebels, decommissioned combatants, and other groups who wish to return to mainstream society.
Kalahi Seeds other known as the Kapit Bisig Laban sa Kahirapan, Comprehensive and Integrated Delivery of Social Services, is a poverty alleviation project of DSWD that uses the Community-Driven Development or CDD approach. The project aims to reduce poverty by empowering communities and promoting good governance through provision of support for community projects and activities and encouraging local government responsiveness to community-identified development projects.
Pamana, payapa at masaganang pamayanan o pamana, focuses on providing development interventions, is hard to reach and conflict-affected communities. It is a project of the national governments in attendance were representatives from the DSWD, Sustainable Livelihood Program or SLP, National and Regional Project Management Offices, OPAPP officials and regional managers, and multi-interagency councils or MIAC of the concerned local government units.
Social Pension or SOCPEN. Social Pension or SOCPEN is a program for indigent senior citizens set up by the Department of Social Welfare and Development in 2010. Extended additionally financial assistance to poor elderly Filipinos and help fulfill the objective of Republic Act No. 9994 or the Expanded Senior Citizen Act of 2010. As defined in Section 3 of Republic Act 1994, indigent senior citizen refers to an elderly who is frail, sickly or with disability, without pension, no permanent source of income, compensation or financial assistance from relative to support his or her basic needs.
Supplemental feeding program. Well-implemented school feeding program are one of the strategy for improving the health and nutritional status of children, reducing absenteeism, and improving education's outcomes. Improving food and nutrition security in the Philippines through school interventions. The supplementary feeding program is the provision of food in addition to the regular meals to currently enrolled daycare children as part of the DSWD contribution to the Early Childhood Care and Development or ECCD program of the government.
For the first semester of 2021, the DSWD has served 1,105 former rebels and their families under Track 1, while 102,029 individuals and 184,997 households in CBAs received assistance under Track 2.
Local government empowerment. Ensure that the LGU's local-based institutions and other stakeholders are sustainably taking the lead in peace-building efforts at the local level.
Strategic communication. Connect communications gaps between and among governments' communication. Platform and conduct strategic communications efforts to effectively disseminate information on government programs and counter the national propaganda of the CPG, while creating external mechanisms to facilitate public engagement and policy needs.
Basic services. Provide responsive delivery of basic services in order to contribute in the establishment conflict-resilient, sustainable, and economically developed communities through the provision of statutory and specialized programs to conflict-affected individuals, families, and communities.
Poverty reduction, livelihood, and employment. Establish institutionalized as well as responsive measures which will significantly address poverty affectation among marginalized communities and basic sectors, and also to balance the equitable resource distribution and create dynamic economic, livelihood, and income opportunities with specific emphasis in poverty alleviation package and sustainable economic intervention for basic sectors.
ECLIP and Amnesty Program. Supervise the reintegration efforts to former rebels from the CPP, NPA, and NDF, as well as their immediate family members, and support the immediate needs of the eligible beneficiaries in the reintegration process.
Sectorial unification, capacity building, and employment. Ensure agency implementation in contribution to comprehensive social reform programs and economic development interventions for each priority sector. Human rights. Human rights encompass those rights that make a person human, enabling one to develop fully and allowing people to live in community and realize the richness of their talents, culture, resources, and non-material gifts. According to the UN in Lombard 2015, every human being has a right to a standard of living for his or her health and well-being, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care, necessary social services, and the right to security in the event of particular circumstances.
Peace awareness. A peaceful and secure environment is critical to every society since it affects all aspects of economic and social development in a country and is necessary simple to the realization of human rights as propel national production, trade, and investment in all sectors of economy.
Peace paradigm. Peace paradigm and development issues identifies with the struggle of all oppressed peoples and identifies the root causes of all forms of violence. Social work identifies personal violence but does not address its root causes. Neither does it focus on all forms of oppression. Social work needs to identify the root cause of violence in all systems and provide a means of addressing them in practice. It needs to understand that poverty, deviance, and dysfunction in the life of clients may not always be internally generated, but may be a reaction to the social environment. The true cause of poverty could extraneous force work against the client.
Supporting migrants and refugees. The 2030 Agenda envisages a world of universal respect for human rights and human dignity and equal opportunity. It aspires a world where every child grows up free from violence and exploitation, where all legal, social, and economic barriers to its empowerment have been removed. This commitment includes supporting migrants and refugees so that they have access to social services and eliminating human trafficking. Human rights emanate from the dignity and worthy of people.
Social justice. The NASW defines social justice as an ideal condition in which all members of a society have the same basic right, condition, protection, opportunities, obligation, and social benefits. In the face of injustice and informed by one of the core values of social work, social justice, social workers need to focus their effort on issue of inequality, discrimination, poverty, and many other forms of injustice.
Strengthening human relations. Poverty and inequalities can have a negative impact on human relations in society. Inequalities may lead to violent conflicts, community instability, and human insecurity, which may result into violation of human rights and several forms of abuse, especially among women and children. For instance, girls are taken as child brides, while as boys are taken child soldiers, and are trained to hate and even kill their own family members. As a result, those who survive are rejected by society and even their own family members, leaving them traumatized and heartbroken.
Social work, education, and training. To discuss peace and human rights related issues. To discuss development agendas. Peace awareness. To say no the solution of the certain conflict. To understand the conflict and get able to see how it would stop or get solved.
Integration of a peace paradigm. Analyzation of the occurring problem, conflict, and being able to see the answer or result to stop the issue. Supporting migrants and refugees. Providing migrants assistance to cater themselves from the place they have newly arrived. Providing refugees who are deserving to receive care and provision as they have run from danger and persecution.
Reconciliation-based building provides counseling to mend people from situations of fellow causing strife and promotes dialogue strengthening human relations. Social workers have to express and relate to their clients to better solidify their clients' personal relations.
Advocating the value, dignity, and worth of man. Social worker gives service that deal with making their client see their true identity are restored and frees one from their values guilt and feeling of unworthiness. Promotes human rights. Discusses teacher what are the rights of an individual and what is legal doing for them to carry on. Empowerment of client. Social working motivates their client, dragging them to get empowered in life.
Fighting for social justice. The role of social workers in this case is to ensure that everyone, regardless of the social and economic standing and political or religious affiliation, have equal access and opportunities, especially the marginalized groups in society. This helps reduce inequalities and thus conflicts. Where there is peace and socio-economic justice, development takes place. Social workers fights for what is right for the public. Promotes institutional building. Social work can play a fundamental role in building resilience, support, and constructive social relationships at both individual and institutional levels. In an effort to develop peaceful communities, social workers can support welfare institutions as a way of fighting inequality that may cause poverty among the disadvantaged groups. In cases where there is severe reduction in welfare services and which may result into increased inequalities between the have and have-nots. Social workers can refocus their emphasis to advocate for the marginalized groups in an effort to maintain peace in society. Advocacy can also help strengthen the institutions that are involved in fighting for human rights.
Advocate for marginalized groups. To represent group in terms of their thoughts, doing, or simply being the voice of the voiceless to promote social welfare of their clients. Human relations. Strengthening recognition of the importance of human relations underscores the role of social workers. The inclusion of peace and human relation issues in social work curriculum would promote the transformation of relationships and society and help build community cohesion and resilience. This type of social work would facilitate inclusion in an effort to enhance social cohesion and hence build on human relations and society, resulting into peace and development. Social workers can also contribute to peace building by supporting communities in building capacity to protect themselves.
In an effort to promote development, social workers can adopt a form of social work practice termed development social work. Development social work can be defined as type of social work which diverges from the residual, service-oriented approach to holistic plan. Development strategies which people place at the center of social planning. Development social work proposes adoption of measures such as creation of organizational arrangements at the national level that harmonizes economic and social policies, adoption of macroeconomic policies that promotes employment and attains people-centered economic development outcomes.
Social work focuses on vulnerable people. Thus, while social worker may not be able to prevent the social, political, and economic circumstances causing poverty, they can empower people to take control on their lives and enable them to meet their own needs. Empowerment enhances people's resilience to vulnerability and oppression, which need can factor into peace building and development, enhancing the effectiveness of social work profession in promoting peace, respect for human rights, and sustainable development in society. It requires involvement of the profession in peace building.